Hi everybody and welcome. My name is Steve McGowan, Head of Business Development here at Brandworkz, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how brand management software can be your secret to a consistent brand experience. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'm delighted to see so many of you here. Firstly, a little bit of housekeeping. I've put you all on mute, but please feel free to ask any questions during the webinar and using the questions panel provided on your screen. We'll try and answer as many of these as we can before the end of the session. Of course, we'd love to hear from you afterwards too. If you'd like to follow me or Brandworkz on social media, then here are the appropriate details. Okay, so before we start, let's just be very clear about what we mean by brand experience. In marketing, we are after one thing, space in a consumer's mind. Consumers put certain brands above others, and in return, they expect them to deliver on those values and promises. If you see it the other way around, if you consistently deliver on your brand promises and the values, then consumers will put you above many of your competitors. When we talk about brand experience here at Brandworkz, we mean it to be a marriage of brand promise and customer experience. We believe in a world where marketers can influence their entire organization to understand the brand promise and provide customers with extraordinary brand experiences. Customer experience is, of course, the interaction your customers have with your brand at every touch point, whether it's using your product, visits in branch, or interaction over the phone or online. Brand promise is the defined vision and values of your organization, which ties into your primary purpose as a business. Your brand promise should enable you to connect both logically and emotionally with your customers, and of course also be differentiated from your competitors. And brand experience matters more than ever. The choice of brands within today's market has grown exponentially over the years in many categories, meaning that the expectations and demands from consumers are ever increasing. Indeed, as Forrester research says, exceptional experiences are now your brand's best competitive advantage. Brands must delight customers consistently with great customer experiences in every channel and at every touch point, or risk losing them to competitors. The difficulty, of course, is that we're working now in a globalized digital world, and there are more channels and more touch points than ever before with which to interact with consumers. So how do we achieve that consistent brand experience in this multiplicity of channels? We believe it comes down to effective brand management, and it's brand management software that makes it possible to create strong brand management processes. Your brand management solution should allow you to align and educate your teams and partners behind the brand. You should be able to distribute your brand content in a coordinated way so that you can be confident that everyone is communicating that consistent experience at all times, everywhere. And it should also allow you to govern and automate your processes. Let me explain how. The key to this is that these days, everyone in your organization is responsible for brand experience, no matter what their job role is, from marketing to customer service to product design. Even if they don't come into direct contact with your customers or your prospects, everyone in their own way can influence how a customer experiences your brand. Therefore, internal buy-in to your brand is critical, because when everyone is aligned and empowered, brand consistency is higher. With brand management software, we can ensure that everyone, not just sales and marketing, but customer services, retail staff, distributors, external agencies, and so on, understands the fundamental brand vision and values of your organization. And they understand that this shouldn't just be treated as corporate waffle, so that the decisions and the actions that they take on a daily basis are consistent with this. Then it needs to be really easy for them to get hold of the physical materials that they need to deliver that consistent experience of your brand. So that's the correct approved logos, imagery, marketing artworks, office documents, videos, written content, and so on. If people can get hold of this content quickly and simply, they are much less likely to use out-of-date materials or even download stuff they've found on Google. And all of this contributes massively to strong brand consistency, which is the backbone of brand experience. By the end of this webinar, we hope we'll give you some practical tips and takeaways to increase your brand's consistency across all channels and touch points. Let's talk just for a moment about brand consistency and brand experience and its effect on your company's bottom line. If your financial director doesn't believe that brand experience is worth investing in, then show him or her something like this. A consistent, differentiated brand experience is one of the most important factors for revenue growth. Now, before we go further, I'm just going to launch our poll question, and I'll give you a few seconds to answer it. So the question is, have you experienced the challenge of making sure all your marketing communications are consistent externally? Great. Okay, I think that's just about everybody. And we have a consensus. It is indeed a difficult thing to achieve. This backs up, we've got 100% actually saying yes, it is difficult to get the communications consistent externally. This does back up recent poll results that of a survey that we put together with the Chartered Institute of Marketing, the results of which we're happy to share after the event as well. So let me just close the poll. So let's find out how brand management software can help solve this prevalent problem. I'm going to go on to a live demo of real brand management sites now, so we can start putting some of this theory into practice. Okay, as an example, we'll be using a few different sites. The first one I'm going to be using is a Brandworkz client, Expo 2020 in Dubai. And some of the basics that we'll go through. Firstly, your system should be cloud-based. It should be available across the internet and globally and available 24/7 to all users. But access to the system should be strictly controlled and permission-based. Users should see exactly the content that is relevant for their role and their level of authority. Sensitive content should be able to be screened off from certain users and available only to the correct groups. What is also important in brand management solutions is that the system itself should reflect the visual identity of each brand and provide an immersive brand experience, as you can see as we enter the homepage in this particular system. What is also really key to the success of such a system is to make content easily findable. Immediately you see this visibility of relevant content. So I can go into brand guidelines, I can look for logos, photography, video, we have showcase areas, very clear navigation taking me into the library sections, into workflows, etc. This is a working tool, so make it easy to work with. We're going to come on in a little bit as to how brand management systems should help you intelligently distribute assets. However, your system should not just be a library of material. It is crucially about aligning, educating, and inspiring your internal and external teams to use the content in the right way. So let's have a look at a couple of must-have features that address this particular angle. Firstly, brand guidelines. We can see here that the Expo 2020 team have created a very deep level of information. But it's information that people can dip into at the right level. So for instance, at the top here, we have information on high-level information about the Expo itself. These are designed to be statements that help people introduce the Expo in conversation, explain what is the Expo for, why is it important, what is the legacy that the Expo 2020 in Dubai is going to leave. So everybody needs to be able to understand this to communicate those high-level messages. And then further down, we see that in the visual system area, we have very detailed information on, for instance, how colors should be used when interpreting the brand, how the logo should be used, how typography should be used as well correctly. So these are design guidelines that a certain level of individual will need to see, your web designers, your marketing people, etc., etc. Different clients educate and inspire their audiences in different ways. Let's just go to another example. This is for JLL, Jones Lang LaSalle, which is obviously a global commercial property organization. Now, they've recently gone through a major rebrand. So when a user logs into this system, they're actually presented with this very impactful landing experience, which they can scroll through, and immediately they realize that something is different with the brand. There is something new to be learned here. And the experience ends in a rather lovely video, which once a user has watched a couple of times, they have the ability to skip. And then they go into the brand portal itself. Another way of thinking about the brand management features is the idea of inspiration. So while we've looked at brand guidelines and giving people instructions on how to do things and information, this particular example we're looking at here uses a showcase type functionality. So the concept being, I'll make this slightly bigger, I think. I should go to 100%. There we go. So the idea here is that you can create case studies, if you like, within a brand management solution. So these are examples of best practice. They combine imagery and then content, textual information. So these could be do's and don'ts, or contacts to make if you're thinking of doing the same thing. This one in particular is about a seminar that was attended, and the company Aon had a stand there. But this is a lot more than just an example of what an exhibition stand should look like for the organization. This is a toolkit for actually replicating the same thing. So as you can see underneath, there is information, master artwork that is associated with this showcase. So this is all of the artwork that is needed for either the brochures or actually the backdrop, as you can see, for another team to be able to replicate that activation. So it's a way of actually sharing best practice. It's a way of showing what good looks like, and it's also a way of speeding up the process of repeating these consistent exercises, across your teams and across your locations. Okay, so we also need to think about key assets. Let's talk a little bit about logos. Now, logos are a special case. They are your most important single asset. They're probably also your most misused asset. The choice of logo in this today's world, where we have multiple channels, and your logo may appear on anything from the side of an aeroplane to a microsite or an e-newsletter, means that there are lots of different formats of logo, lots of different types. Users aren't always equipped to make the right technical choice, so it's often not good enough just to give them a repository of logos. You need to be able to guide them through. So here we have a logo. The Expo 2020 team have a multitude of different logos and partner logos that they're working with. A user can come here and make the first choice. I just need the straightforward Expo 2020 logo. In fact, they have a logo or an emblem. I'm going to go with a logo. As you can see, the system then asks me to choose a language. Well, I need it in English in this case. What do I need it for? So this could be a crucial decision in terms of format of the file. So do I need it for high resolution? No, I just need it for a PowerPoint document, for instance. Or what color background is that? It's a white background, and I'd like a full color logo. So everything then that I'm presented with, all of these options, will be applicable and will look great within that particular instance. So the user has answered nothing technical, but the system has delivered the right technical solution for them. And it's that balance of brand control but ease of use that your brand management system should be able to strike. Okay, let's go into what many consider to be the core or the engine of brand management now, which is the repository. This is where we empower people by enabling them to actually access and self-serve the material themselves. So the engine we're talking about here should be a robust and usable DAM that allows you to find assets quickly, to download them in different formats, share them with others, collate them for collections, etc. I'm going to use this this demonstration site here, which is a clone of one of our customers that they're very happy for us to use. And you can see here, very similar homepage environment. I can quickly navigate through to images or brand guidelines, or use a library structure, a folder structure to navigate through to assets, or I can use the search capability, which I open up using the search icon. As you can see, we're looking at a library of some 1,400 or so assets. Search in the system should be visual, it should be dynamic, and it should be fast. So let me just run through a quick example. If I type in and incorrectly type in a search term, the system immediately allows me to realize, actually, I've made a mistake. It should be Outlander, of course. I can then further refine my search results, which are visually represented on the right-hand side, using these facets, which of course are created for each individual client. So I can decide, well, do you know what? Yes, Outlanders, but I'm looking for automatic versions. There's going to be 88 of those. Everything now is slimmed down to just those that are tagged as automatic. I just want interior views of cars on this occasion. Having looked at it, maybe I'll have a front three-quarter view in there as well, and we start to see those come into the results. And in this instance, I'm just looking for royalty-free assets because I don't want to be concerned with having to worry about, rights and seeking permissions, etc. So very quick to be able to narrow and widen your search results, and then to go into an asset preview itself. So this is the asset I've decided to have a further look at. I have a nice preview screen here, which I can make full screen if I want to. I can scroll through to other assets, but looking at the image itself will only give me a certain amount of information. Metadata, of course, needs to be associated, so I can slide that easily out into this side panel. Metadata can be free text, or you should be able to capture any type of metadata that you need, whether that includes rights, material, expiry dates, etc., etc., etc. Plus, the automatic capture of embedded metadata as well should be included in your system. Okay, now let's talk about something that is a real game changer when it comes to brand management solutions and the use of digital asset management. And that is the ability of the system to create automatic transformations of your assets. So you need only upload this particular image asset once, and the system is perfectly capable of producing different formats and different sizes of this image that are applicable for your different channels, and that can be then served up manually, so someone can download it and use it. I'll show you that in a second. Or even your system should be able to plug directly into your other platforms so that the system can be automatically served through. This is something that you simply cannot do with file storage systems like Box, or highly unlikely to be able to do it in maybe your intranet or your content management solution, etc. And it saves hours and it saves pounds. So let me just show you with this particular instance. I have the ability, because of my permissions, to download this in a variety of formats. A version that is specifically designed for a website, for instance, or a thumbnail size that's applicable for regular use, or I even have an advanced download capability where I can crop the image to a certain specification, change format, etc. Now this is all permission based and access controlled, so certain users will only see certain download capabilities. Your web team, for instance, may only see that one particular option. You also have the ability to share assets directly from the system, and this is again something that is made very much easier because we're not actually sending the assets, we're creating links. So I can put a list of emails together. I can then decide whether the link I'm going to send has a download capability, in this case perhaps the original file. I can add a message. I can validate, i.e. embargo the link I'm going to send, and then decide when it's going to lapse, share that with an individual or individuals. They receive the email with the link, click onto it, they can see the asset and then download according to the permissions I've given. And what's really nice is that you can do this with multiples of assets. So for instance, I have in my sidebar here 5 assets already. Let's say I wanted to do it with these 6 or 7, so I'll drag a few more in. I have the same capabilities to download in bulk or share in bulk as we've just looked at. Okay, so let's finally talk about one other module that should be a must with any brand management solution. So we've looked at so far what I would call core brand asset management features. However, we don't think any brand is complete without this next set of capabilities. We've already discussed how consumers are looking for a consistent experience of a brand wherever they find it, which in turn drives loyalty. In this feature, we'll look at how a brand management solution should allow users to quickly adopt and adapt from rules-based templates to produce localized versions of anything from signage, business cards, web banners, brochures, leaflets, online advertising, etc. So let's use this example from Mitsubishi again. This site is a system that services their dealer network. Motor dealers are producing advertising all the time. When a motor dealer wants to produce something, let's say they've got a tight deadline with their local newspaper, they can go to this Creative Toolkit feature. They can click on Create Artwork, and that will open up a selection of templates which they can decide which one to use. So let's say we'll use this one here. The system then will present them with an easy-to-use interface. So we'll get a visualization of the template that is being used, as you can see on the right-hand side. Certain things I can do with this and certain things I can't. I can't change the headline, I can't change the logo, and neither can I change the legal bit. But the system has, because it's been set up by administrators in this way, allows me to change certain key areas. For instance, I could change this to an ad that is suitable for the US rather than the UK. And as you can see, as you would expect, the currency changes, but also some of these options are lost. So there is no automatic option for the US because everything in the US is an automatic. I can change the pricing. I can lose this advance payment, as you can see here, simply by unticking the box. And I can change the image, but only according to the rules that the system has given me. So for instance, I can only choose from one of those three and make the image a blue version of the vehicle. I can then save this as a new version of the artwork and download it. Again, it would be in a format that's appropriate to my use case. In this case, probably a print-ready PDF with crop marks that I can forward on to the local newspaper. The return on investment on a system like this, as I'm sure you might understand, is potentially huge. And it also is a great way to cut your speed to market and take advantage of those, the short-term opportunities, of which there are myriad out there at the moment. So hopefully that's given you a sense of some of those key features. What I want to do is to sum up by going back to our presentation and look at a couple of key takeaways. Actually, we're going to look at three. Okay. So, key takeaway number one, education. Give your employees the knowledge, and when I say employees, it's employees and partners. Give them the knowledge they need and make it easy to interact with the brand, giving them responsibility for delivering brand experience. Turn them into brand ambassadors. Empower your teams. Give them an on-brand and easy-to-use web platform where they can self-service approved, compliant, and on-brand materials easily and quickly. Enforce compliance. Give your people the tools and processes to create communications in a timely manner, as we've just seen, but they follow brand compliance rules, and ultimately you'll deliver this consistent brand experience. The function of brand management in marketing is more essential today than it's ever been. In a digital world, brands must delight customers consistently with great customer experiences in every channel and at every touch point, or you risk losing them to competitors. This is why it's our contention that the responsibility of the marketing function is now just as much about educating and aligning internal employees and partners as it is communicating externally with prospects and customers. So just before we finish, I think we've just got time for a couple of quick questions. Okay, this is a good first one. Actually, something we get asked quite a lot. I get how useful this platform could be, but how do I sell the concept internally to my senior management? We do get that asked that a lot about, development of business case, etc. And that's why there's a lot of resources on our website in the knowledge section. So do check those out. In particular, I think there's a white paper which is called the Business Case for Brand Management Software. Or something of that nature, and it nicely complements this webinar. We also have, what's really great about this sort of solution is there are lots of hard metrics that we can identify with you that can then measure the success of such a system. So we have an ROI calculator, which I'd be happy to walk you through. Time for one more. Let's go for this one. How do you encourage people to use the system? All right, okay, that's a really important one. It is only from maximum user adoption that you gain maximum success of a solution. So there's a number of things to think about with this. Number one is to make it very easy to find and get into the system. So you can make it readily available, with links through your internet. Use a single sign-on approach so that people, when they're logged into your network in the morning, can be logged straight into the system. Definitely choose a web-based tool because you can access it from anywhere globally, etc. Then you've got to think about content. And think about the homepage and having constantly refreshed content on there, so there is every reason for people to come back regularly. Promote the site, of course, through internal emails and roadshows and events. And fundamentally, the best thing you can do is make it a highly usable and useful experience in their working day, because that is, once they sense that, once they know this is the go-to place and they actually get value from it, and it's quicker than the way they're doing it at the moment, and they end up with better results, they're going to come back. So it's getting them to that point to start with, and we can help you with that. We have, again, a lot of material on the how to get people, how to get high levels of user adoption, etc. Happy to show you that. So listen, I think we're out of time. We've probably gone slightly over, so thanks very much for bearing with us. If you'd like to get in touch after the webinar, the details are on the screen now, and of course we'd very much love to hear from you. Thank you very much, everybody.